boom, icy, boom, dark. Hi everybody, it's Lauren Brown, also known as Raggedy Royal on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and now YouTube. And today we're going to be doing this white, icy, sparkly, soft glam eyeshadow. So, I did this look the other day for my dad's all-white party, and I filmed a Get Ready With Me. I posted it on Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, and the people liked this look a little bit more than I was expecting them to like this look. And then I realized I like this look a little bit more than I was expecting to like this look. So I said, you know what? We should make a YouTube tutorial for it. So here we are now, and we're gonna get right into this tutorial. Now, if you enjoyed this video at any time, you learned something new, you can subscribe down below. We just hit 51,000 subscribers. Also, all the products that I use will be tagged down below in the description bar, tagged on the screen, and tagged through the YouTube shopping. Okay, I'm getting tech savvy on them. Shout out to my YouTube friends who've been teaching me how to do all the linking and all of that to make content more shoppable so that you guys can find the products that I use. So that's all for me. Let's get right into the video. Okay, so the eyes are already primed. I use the Anastasia Beverly eyeshadow primer per the always. Because we're going in with brown eyeshadows, I say this for every soft glam, you probably could just use a concealer or something closer to your skin tone. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it, okay? I'm using the same eyeshadow primer because I know that it's going to come out well on top of it. I have not done my base makeup, obviously. I'd say that you should do your eyes before your base because if there's any fallout from up here, then you could just wipe it off and start your base instead of having to wipe off your base makeup, and that's the whole thing. Okay, so sometimes I blend light to dark, meaning I start at the brow bone, go down to the crease. Sometimes I blend dark to light, which means I go from the crease all the way up to the brow bone. Today, I'm starting in the middle. Okay, we're gonna work it out from there. I am going to start with the Too Faced The Natural Nudes palette. Friend to the show, has been in a lot of the soft glam videos. And the Huda Beauty Icy Nude palette. Because when I did this look the other day, it was cool tone. So I'm going to start with this medium blending brush. This is from BH Cosmetics. It doesn't have a name. It's a 7 brush. You can use any brush that is comparable. Let's get into it. So I'm going to start in this medium shade here, Maple, which is one of my favorite shades for the crease. And I'm going to take a little bit of this brown here, which ironically is still warm. It's just kind of different. I'm going to take this flat brush. This is an e.l.f. foundation brush, and I'm just going to flatten out that primer to make sure there is no creasing before I start. And then I'm going to start on the outer corner, going all the way towards the inner corner and the crease. So where's your crease? That's that fold. You look up, you look down. That's where your crease is, right? Now, say, for example, your crease looks different than mine. That's cool because they do come in different shapes and sizes. You're going to go halfway from your brow bone to your lash line. So about here. And I'm going to blend that all the way across the crease. We will obviously lighten this, darken this, blend this out, but this is going to be just kind of our guide for this eye. Now, I said on this eye, I started the outer corner. You can also start on the inner corner because guess what? You're going all the way across the eye, one color, so it doesn't really matter. I've noticed that on my left eye, I like to start in the inner corner. Don't know what that's about. And I'm doing the same thing. It's okay if it looks a little crazy, because like I said, we have a lot of blending to go. Very nice. And I'm going to blend out. So I'm going to use my big fluffy brush that y'all know I love. A little bit dirtier than I expected. I'm going to use this blending brush that you know I love. It's from BH Cosmetics from many years ago, probably a decade or so. And it is a fluffier brush. So as we go down the eye, we're going to use more and more taper brushes. As we go up the eye, they're going to be fluffier and fluffier. So let's do our Lauren Brown brush breakdown. Yes. Okay, so up near the brow bone, up here, you're going to use those fluffier brushes because these brushes diffuse color. Okay, so you don't want something super concentrated and building depth up here. That's gonna be too much. Okay, it's not gonna make a nice blend, a nice ombre. And as you go down the eye, you're gonna use brushes that are more and more tapered, meaning that they look skinnier and skinnier, but really the brush bristles are more densely packed, or there's less brush bristles. So as you can see, this one is thinner or more densely packed than this one, less fluffy. And then as you go down the eye, even more towards the crease, you're going to use even thinner brushes. If you're ever wondering where to use an eyeshadow brush on your eye, this is a good guideline. If it's super fluffy, it's going to be up towards the brow. If it's super narrow, it's going to be used to build depth down towards the crease. Now I want to blend it out, so I'm going to take that fluffier brush. And the first time I did this look, I was using like taupes. That's the one thing I would change about this look. So I'm going to change it now. I'm going to go in with the Colourpop Gone Matte palette. I'm going to use these transition shades here. And I'm also going to go a little bit into Very Velveteen because it's like a cool gray. I feel like it was too cool. And so I feel like it didn't blend as much as I wanted it to. So we're going to use this palette today. And I'm going to do the same thing starting out on the outer corner. And I'm going to be blending in circular motions all the way up to the brow. And as you can see, the brow hairs get covered a little bit. But guess what? I know who did my brows. Me, I did them. Another lady who did them. So I'm sure that she can touch them up afterwards. If you want to know how I did my brows, I literally just posted a brow tutorial video. So go check that out. I would rather get blended all the way up there and it's seamless and then maybe have to fix the brow than to be scared to get up there and then we have that white stark line. I'm doing the same thing over here in this inner corner and I'm just going all the way across the eye. Yes, indeed. So it's still cool. It's not as warm as like my gold soft glam or my rose gold soft glam or my hot pinks. We have a lot of soft glam videos. It's not as warm as that. But it's not super duper cool where there's a disconnect between the browns. Very nice. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same exact thing that I did first, which is build some depth in this crease. I'm going to go back and build some depth in this crease. You'll never in a Righty Road tutorial add a color once or like just do a step just once. You have to keep going back to make sure that those blends are nice and bold, that everything is seamless and that you don't lose, you know, your crease color just because you blended it out. I'm going to quickly do the same on the other eye. Starting in the inner corner again, going all the way up towards that brow bone. Going in a little bit with Chase, look at Chase Me and Shaggy right here, which are those warmer shades, just because I know I'm going to be contouring my nose later, so it will just blend nicely with the nose contour. Then going back into the crease. Blending that out. I feel like on this eye, I can use a little bit more of those warmer browns up towards the top. Beautiful, beautiful. And as you go through your eyeshadow, what I want you to do, what I want to implore that you do, what I want to encourage you to do is go back through and just like, for example, when I just looked at my eye and I was like, it needs more warm brown up top. You can use your own eyes and use your own authority and your confidence, use some confidence, right? To figure out, no, I need to add a little bit more of this. I need to add a little bit more of that. And that's why I explain why we do each step, so that if, you know, you're like, I feel like there's a disconnect between the crease and the upper brow bone. I just don't know what to do. You're gonna diffuse because we talked about using that fluffy brush, right? So that's why I go into detail on how to explain, because I want, when I'm not here, when you're not watching my tutorial, you know what to do and you feel like confident in fixing what you need to fix. All right, so now I'm going to go back into this Icy Nude palette and I'm going into this shade She Rich and a little bit of faux fur. This one is darker and cooler. This one's a little bit warmer and a little bit lighter. And we're going down in that crease. You can tell because this brush is more tapered. And I'm going to start at the outer corner and go all the way into the inner corner. And you can see how we built more depth here compared to here. And building depth in this eye is kind of important because we're going to be using a stark white and metallic. So having that dark brown background really gives it contrast and makes it stand out. I was looking at pictures of myself and I was like, it literally looks like I cut the crease, but I didn't cut the crease. And I'm like, it probably looks like you cut the crease because of the contrast between, you know, that dark brown and that white on the lid. It makes it look clean even when you know, you didn't make it that sharp. I'm going to continue blending that out, adding that dark brown. You can add as much as you would like. The more you add, the more depth is going to be in the eye and the darker the eye will be. So there is your warning. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and go in with that medium shade and blend that out again, making sure that it's incorporated and not just light up here, dark down here. especially because the light shade is so light and the dark shade is so dark. I'm going to go back in and make sure that the eyes are even on both sides. Adding a little bit more dark brown on this eye to match the other eye. Then I'm going to go back in and one more time blend out with those light browns up top. Adding just a little bit of the warm, more orange tone brown. Blending that out. Make sure it's seamless up top. A little bit more of that medium brown mixture. And honestly, I didn't add more to the brush right there. Like, I don't need too much on the brush, right? You don't necessarily need more on the brush. You just to go back in and do the blending. Okay, we're moving pretty fast. I love that. Now, I still have eyeshadow primer in the back of my hand from earlier when I put the eyeshadow primer on. So you're going to want to take your eyeshadow primer. Now, I will say it is more helpful if your eyeshadow primer is light because we're going to be adding literal white eyeshadow. So the lighter it is, the more it's going to give that white a boost. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add this to the lid first. And then in a very choppy style, I'm going to just like kind of pull this up into the inner corner and the cut crease above that. And the reason I say in a choppy style is because it's not supposed to be a cut crease. It just, I think because of the white, it just seems like it, but it's not supposed to be a cut crease. And we will be blending over the crease. I think I might have added just a smidgen too much eyeshadow primer on this eye, but we will figure that out later. The reason I call it a soft glam eyeshadow is because it's not a cut crease. Everything just kind of like flows into the upper crease. Like if this was a cut crease, all this up here, this would be an issue. It would be a problem. Since it's a soft glam, we can play around with that and have more of a diffused, blended out look. All right, okay. All right, now here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go into the Huda Beauty Icy Nude palette. We're gonna start with this white. If I don't like this white, then we'll go in with another white. And I'm gonna be using a Morphe M126. You can use any flat brush that you have. And we're gonna just cover all this in this white. I feel like the white is a little bit chalky. Let me see. Yeah, okay. That white is a little bit too chalky. So I'm going to go in with the Colourpop Stone Cold Fox palette. And I used this the first time. I was just trying to, you know, use all one palette. Like I always say, you don't have to have the exact same palette size. You just comparable. Yeah, that applies way more opaque. Just comparable colors. So whatever white eyeshadow you have, that's cool too. And I'm just going to add this all over the place. Literally. And once again, it's kind of in a choppy style because of when we blend it, when we diffuse. Yeah. All right, now I'm going to use a clean, look at me, a clean brush. This is a Colourpop E19 and it's very, very tapered, right? And the reason why I'm using a very tapered brush is because I want to get right into this little nook and cranny right here. Blending out that white. White is like kind of a hard eyeshadow to work with because it will show everything underneath it. Like, see, it will show your panties, okay? It will show your panties. I'm telling you this now. But that's why we're using the metallic on top. So we have like a little bit of wiggle room. So it's not just straight white. Like whites and pastels will show any sort of like unsmooth, rough, uneven texture underneath the eyeshadow. Blend that out. I'm going back in and just adding some more white because I disrupted it with that little blending brush. Yes, I did. Don't worry about it looking crazy on top of the crease because we're going to go back in and fix that. It's time for glitter. That's why every time I do like a white or a pastel, I like to add a little bit of glitter on top, or I try to be really, really mindful of making everything flat because it will snitch on you. So now I'm going to go in with the Morphe Dual Ended Cream Liquid Eyeshadow Stick, the Mixed Signals one. I use the pink one all the time. This is the silver one, and this is in shade, the government name is Forever Fling. And when it comes to liquid glitters, they're my favorite to use. But the way that I use them is I put it on the back of my hand first. I put it on the back of my hand so that I can disperse it evenly and get as much product as I want and really to thin it out, right? Now, with this applicator, fun fact, this is for everything, mascaras, everything. Don't ever like go to try to get more. What you want to do is swivel, and that will scrape the inside, and that will make you get more. If you do all the quick pumping, what happens is you put air into the product and make it dry quicker. So you want to do a scrape. If you were watching right there, you're like, what's she doing her wrist? I'm scraping to make sure I get everything that I need. I probably have way too much, but it was for the sake of science, of teaching you guys something. And so I'm going to take my flat brush, and I'm just kind of like thinning it out, right? I don't want those huge chunks on my brush, because guess what? This is not a metallic cut crease. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add with a very light hand. As you can see, I'm not swiping. I'm doing quick little taps all over. That way it feels more like a topper and less like a, oh my gosh, it's a silver glitter cut crease, because that's not it. But we are using silver glitter to, you know, enhance. But we'll rock with it for now. Okay. All right, now let's clean up. So I will say that the liquid shadow is wet, so I'm not gonna do too much to disrupt anything near that right now, because it's wet and I don't want to make a mess, right? I'm gonna take another flat brush. This is a Colourpop E18, and I'm gonna go in first with that mixture that we did before, which is the Too Faced The Natural Nudes palette Maple and the Huda Beauty Icy Nude palette here, and I'm going to apply that right on the outer corner, so that there's not only an ombre from the lash line up, there's an ombre vertically and horizontally, right? That's what I do with all my half cut crease, all my soft glams, just to make sure that the entire eye is incorporated and it doesn't just look like boom, icy, boom, dark. There is an ombre all over the eye. Doing the same on the other eye. And then we're going to take it one more layer in. I'm going to take those very light transition shades. So I'm going to take the browns, of course. I'm even going to go back in with that like grayish shade. And I'm going to do the same thing on the innermost side of that last shade. Yes. When it comes to ombres and blending across the eye, how I do this is I just go back and add more of the lash shade. So I'm going back in with those medium browns, covering up that light brown, because it looks like it got a little bit lost. And then that dark brown definitely got a little bit lost. So lastly, I'm going to get back in with that dark brown and bringing that all in as well. It's easier to go from light to dark on the brush. So I went all the way to the light shade, and then I'm going all the way back to the dark shade, and I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to add just a little bit more, if I can, if it's not all dry, of the glitter onto that light brown. Just so it's really part of the family, you know what I mean? It's really incorporated. It got glitter on it. It's really here. There is no segregation in the eyeshadow that I'm blending today. Okay, so now I'm going to take, this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is their dust powder, and I can't really, it's literally just a dust powder. Like, I can't tell you what exactly it is. It's a powder and it's holographic. And I'm going to take a little bit on the flat brush from earlier, and I'm going to add some of that on top too. This is in shade Galaxy, by the way. I feel like one, it gives it a little bit of a holographic look. But two, it also dulls down the silver a little bit. It makes it look like it's reflective and there's glitter, but it's less like silver. If you feel like you add too much of that, you can always add more silver. If you add too much of the silver, you can always add more of that. And this is the time, just like I was saying earlier about using your own authority. Use your eyes. Figure out what you like. Do you feel like, you know what, she used way too much glitter for me, I want to just keep it white? You can do that. I'm just here to teach you how things work. So if you're like, I don't want to do it exactly like you, that's even almost a little bit cooler, because it's like, wow, you know what you don't like because you know what everything means. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in with that dark brown on that blending brush, and I'm going to blend all the way in the crease. Like I said before, don't worry about that white getting out of bounds. You should never worry about white eyeshadow getting out of bounds, because literally anything can cover white eyeshadow. Like literally anything can cover white eyeshadow. And this is just going to make everything look more diffused. It does look like a cut crease. It is in fact not a cut crease. Y'all just watch me not cut my crease. But hey, I'm not mad at it. So that is how we're going to do that. I'm going to add a little sliver of black eyeliner. If I can find my black eyeliner. I found a liner. When I say just a little black line, I literally mean just a little black line. Y'all don't like when I leave steps out, so I'm going to show you. And I'm gonna make it all even. That's pretty much it. This is the Milani Stay Put Tank Liner. Because I have on this glitter, I have to give it a couple layers because otherwise the glitter starts shining through and it starts looking crazy. But that's literally what I mean by adding a little sliver of liner. Now I'm gonna go put on my face and my lashes. Oh, if you want to know how to do your base routine, guess what? I have a whole bunch of videos recently about layering blush. 3 tips to help your makeup application. We're actually in a makeup vocabulary series where I'm going from A to Z in makeup, and an updated base tutorial. So everything you want to know, I'm not leaving you hanging. All right, it's on my page, and I'm gonna go put on my lashes and come back for the lower lash line. Okay, so the lashes are the Kiss Lash Strip Lashes in You Do You. Y'all know I wear these all the time. I'll tell you what's on the lip and what's on the face down below. Let's get into this waterline. So I'm using the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in Milk, of course. As I was in the bathroom, I was like, this look would probably look hot with the black waterline too. So if you're into black waterlines, you can't get jiggy with the white waterline. I just filmed a makeup unpopular opinions video, so I know that the white waterline is a little bit polarizing, you know what I mean? I just learned, I thought everybody loved it, but apparently not. So if you like black waterline, I think this would be great with this look as well. But I'm going to go in with the white, and y'all know I always use a craft brush. This is a Craft Smart Zero brush, and I'm going to just go into the product, and then I'm going to line the waterline, right? So I'm going along the eye, parallel to the eye, not perpendicular, so I'm not sticking this at my eye. That's scary. I'm going to go along the eye, and just coat it in that white. I feel like my eyes are a little bit stained green from the look I did yesterday. So I'm going to add a little bit of extra white to make sure that it is nice and bright. Now for the inner corner, speaking of white, I'm going to take this dome brush. This is a Morphe M431. I don't think they sell this either. So I'm going to take the white from the Stone Cold Fox palette in this dome brush. This is a Morphe M431. And I'm going to go right into that white. And I'm going to add that right to the inner corner. One, white in the inner corner definitely opens up the eye. So that's first. Second of all, it gives some place for the white in the waterline to run into. Because sometimes when you wear a white waterline for so long, it will start getting a little bit crusty and migrating into the inner corner. But if you already have white there, then it's really not that big a deal. And it doesn't look so much like it's just bleeding everywhere. So that's that. I'm going to add a little bit right under the inner corner too. Just because we're making this eye as open and as bright as possible. I've really been obsessed with like bright. When I've been thinking about doing my makeup, I'm like, I want it to be bright. I'm not exactly sure what that means every single time, but I've been obsessed with it. Now I'm going to go in. This is another flat brush that I'm just picking up. So I'm going to pick up another flat brush. I'm going to go into the Too Faced The Natural Nudes palette and go into shade Maple. We're not going to do too much on the lower lash line, especially not with that dark brown. Because like I said, we are going in with something bright, right? So we want there to be a little bit of definition using color on the lower lash line, but we don't want too much. We don't want no devils in the house. We want the Lord. That's it. I'm going to take this blending brush right here. I'm going to go into those light transition shades, and especially that like more warm orange tone down here. And the reason I'm doing that is so that I can blend out this lower lash line and make it more incorporated with the face. I'm also going to take this fluffy brush and use those same warm transition shades to blend this out more into my blush. You said there's like a harsh stop here. I hate that. I don't like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just blend that out and blend it more into the face. So there's not a super harsh dark brown in place. It makes everything more harmonious. Maybe I need to make a video on how I blend my eyeshadow and the blush. We had a whole series on Instagram. But you know, I know the Instagram ragdolls and the YouTube ragdolls, there's overlap, but they're not all the same people. So let me know if you want to see a video on how I blend, you know, different colors into blush. And that, my friends, is it. I'm going to add some lower lash mascara and we're going to take it to the outro. All right, so here is the final look. I'll tell you what I did on the lips down below. I'll put it all in the description box. If you want to add some more sparklies and a little bit more glitter on this inner corner on the bottom, that would be cute. I think I might have done that on Friday. Today, I don't have the I don't have the time or the battery on my phone, but that is also an option that you can do. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe down below. Thank you all so much for 51,000 subscribers, which we hit recently. If you want to see more of my looks, more of my life, you can check me out on all the social media sites: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Threads, all at Raggedy World. I also post way more in the shorts tab. So before I posted this tutorial, I had like a short form video of how I did this look. So you can check me out in the shorts tab, because usually they eat first, okay? And stick around for the makeup vocabulary series. I think next we're getting into concealer and contour. It's a series going from A through Z of makeup. So I'm talking about products, tricks, techniques, tips, all the things, and just vocabulary terms, because some of these words is like, what does that even mean? So you can check out my last installment of that video, which is the brow video that I just posted. And you can also leave me suggestions down below what you want to see next, because like I said, I did this video based off of the reactions that I got from the shorts. So I was like, I'm gonna make a full tutorial. So it works, guys. Let me know what you want to see, because I'm here to help you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.